Hello and welcome to Yellow Sticker Dinner. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, I go to my local supermarkets, see what I can buy from the reduced to clear section, and then try my darndest to make a meal out of it. And last night I picked up 6 cans of soup. Part of that kind of protein trend where they just add a couple of grams of protein to whatever. I don't know why, it just seems to be really common these days. But anyways, basically, I got 6 cans. They were originally $2.19. I got these for 22 cents each. There's 2 different flavors. There is Moroccan chickpea and bell pepper soup with beans, and Mediterranean tomato and bean soup with thyme. Now it'll be incredibly boring if I just made a can of soup on this video. And also, I don't even eat soup like that very often. A lot of times soup is just like canned soup. It's very salty. To be fair though, this is pretty good. The ingredients are fine as well. You know, that's actually not really a bunch of stuff. They're okay. But yeah, overall though, like, you know, a lot of times there's an awful lot of salt in this stuff. This seems to be all right. But basically anyway, like I was saying, it would be very boring if I just made a can of soup and called it a day. And when I think of soup, I think of bread to dip it in. So why not go a little bit wild and try to turn this can of soup into a loaf of bread? Bear with me here. This is going to be the liquid. I'm going to use some stuff which I had earlier. I've had this wholemeal flour in my pantry for a while. I got it, was $3.89. I got it for $1.94. Makes sense to use this. And this stuff is really what inspired me to make this bread, because just before Christmas, or over Christmas, sorry, in that kind of like between New Year's and Christmas period, I got this yeast for half price. It was originally $1.50. I got it for 75 cents. I think the box was damaged, you know, a little bit of tape. They just taped it up, but all the packets are in there. Half price yeast, and I was like, I wonder if I can turn this can of soup into a loaf of bread and just skip the whole dipping process and just, you know, have it as one piece, you know, that kind of way. Thicken up the soup to the point where it's a loaf of bread. And I'm looking at both different cans here. There's the Moroccan chickpea and bell pepper soup with beans, and the Mediterranean tomato and bean soup with thyme. I'm going to use this can because it's a tomatoey one. It's got a little bit of thyme in there, and I feel like, hear me out, I think I might be able to make a bit of a cheat, like a cheat tomato bread is what my plan is. So I'm just going to open this up. I've got my NutriBullet ready in the next room, just in case it's all thick. See, that's why I don't like canned soup. It's always gelatinous. It's always just kind of, you know. Anyways, I'm going to lick the lid. A little taste of cold soup. It's not too bad. It tastes slightly powdery. Maybe it's gone off. Maybe that's why. So I can't really, I don't know. But overall, it's got a mild kind of just a mild spice mix to it. I'm trying to think what I'm getting there. Not a whole lot going on, to be honest with you. Definitely a little bit tomatoey, a little bit peppery, I suppose. I assume there's some sort of cumin in there. Toasted onions, red pepper, garlic, sugar, thyme, salt, vegetables, green peppers, onions, carrots, celery. Anyways, yeah, so it's fine. It's nice enough. And I think it'll be a lot better in a loaf of bread. So I'm not going to use just wholemeal coarse flour because I'm not a psycho. I'm just psycho enough to use a can of soup for my bread. But I'm going to mix it with this kind of plain flour. And I don't make a whole lot of bread. Every time I do make bread, I always say to myself, I should do that again. It's out of, this bowl is too heavy for the scales. But yeah, every time I do make bread, I always say to myself, I should do that again. and then I never do, or I rarely do. So I'm going to go half and half, half white and half brown. I'm going to go 250 of each to start, to see how we're looking. Can't be bothered to sieve it. There's 251 of white. Let's go 250 of the coarse flour. Perfect. Okay. And then, you know, I'm just going to get a little fork just to kind of experiment and just have a look at what's in this soup to see if it's like, you know, very thick. I don't mind if there's some pieces, you know what I mean? There's a piece of carrot, I think. It seems okay. Okay, let's just do it. So this can be a video in like 3 parts, I suppose. It'll be the longest video I've ever made, but probably the shortest one that you're going to watch. Because I'm just going to skip an awful lot of stuff. I'm going to make a little well in this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stir my yeast in. How does this? Just throw it in. Teaspoon of sugar and 1/2 glass of lukewarm water. Stir and let dissolve for 10 minutes. Oh, jeez, I should have done that beforehand. Okay. Right, like I said, I don't have hot water in this tap, so I'm just gonna have to kettle it a little bit. I have to be very careful not to make it too hot, because I could be in trouble. I don't have any sugar with me. Do I? I don't think I do. How much sugar is in here? Would this be enough? Yeah, you know what? There's 2 teaspoons of sugar in this, 9.7 grams. I'll just show you this one here, 9.7 grams. So I think I'll be okay. And I'm not going to bother letting it rest. I'm just going to put it into some lukewarm water here. But I may as well just throw this can of soup in. Who knows what's going to happen here? This, so far, I haven't really had any failures. I nearly did with my croquettes, trying to put that burger into the. Sorry, I don't want this too hot. I nearly had a failure with my croquettes, trying to put the burger through the NutriBullet. I think that's a bit too hot. Let me see. Yeah, it's quite hot. Yeah, it's only. Yeah, 2nd degree burn. It's fine, not a big deal. A little bit of cold water. Nice. Still a little bit hot. Let me just beautiful. Okay. This might be a little bit too wet for the amount of flour I have. But I suppose we'll find out. Sorry, it smells like miso paste. Which showed up recently. Okay, so I'm just going to throw this water in. I could let it wait for 10 minutes, but it needs to interact with the sugar. Hopefully the salt won't mess with that too much. And then I'm going to use my fork initially to kind of help start the serving. And then once it's all mixed together, I'll start kneading it. But yeah, like I said, I'm trying to hack together a type of tomato bready, I suppose. I don't think I need to add anything else to it. I'm hoping that the soup itself will add the flavour. Maybe when it's cooked, a lot more flavour will come out. Like I said, it was fairly mild, the lid, that bit I tasted. But yeah, we'll just give it a bit of go and see what happens. So this is looking a little bit wet. Like I said, I'm no Paul Hollywood. And this bread will certainly not get a Hollywood handshake. But we'll see what happens. Sorry, there's just an awful lot of yeast that didn't make it in there. Let's get a little bit of cold water in there. I'm making a bit of a mess here. Like I said, this is not going to win any kind of awards on the Great British Bake Off. So yeah, this is very wet. So I'm going to add more flour straight away because I can tell it's a bit too thin for my liking. But once all this kind of comes together, that's looking a lot better already. Once this comes together, I'm going to tip it out onto my chopping board and start kneading. And then I might just cut that whole process, because watching me knead, I'm going to do this for like 10-12 minutes, and I think it'll be quite boring. So I'm gonna, when it's time to knead, before I do it, before I get my hands all muddy and wet, I'm gonna cut the video. But I will rejoin you again in a couple of seconds, your time. So yeah, so that's how it's looking. It needs, like I said, it needs some kneading, so I shall do that now, and I shall be back momentarily. Okay, so I've been kneading this for a couple of minutes now. I wish I had kept recording, because what you missed, was just a total mess, a total disaster. You might be able to tell there's flour and bread everywhere. The dough was way too wet. I had to add loads of flour, like 2 big handfuls on top of whatever you didn't see me put on. I put in a bunch of flour. It's still a little bit sticky, which you might be able to tell, but it's coming together well. I totally made a mess of my bag of flour when I tried to pick it up with my disgusting hands. That will be cleaned or maybe transported into a different container. But, you know, aside from that mess, really does look like a bomb went off in here, and it wasn't too far off, to be honest with you. It's come together pretty well. You know, it's becoming a bit more loose, a bit more stretchy, and it's a nice colour. It looks like I've added turmeric or something like that, or maybe there's turmeric in the actual soup, I'm guessing. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Like, you know, like I said, it's quite sticky. But I'm reluctant to add more flour at this point. I think I'm just going to keep working it for a little bit longer. And hopefully the yeast will activate and rise. Because I really didn't give it much time either. But we'll see. We'll see. Look, it's a bit of it's a safe experiment. You know, it's a safe experiment, because if it doesn't work, all I've lost is 22 cents of soup and a couple of hundred grams of flour. You know, so it's worth it for the experimentation. Okay, so I am gonna call that a day on the kneading, because as you can see, it kind of reshapes pretty well, which would suggest to me that it's quite glutinous. The gluten has been activated, I think. So I'm just going to put this back in the bowl. Sorry, I do like kneading bread. It's fun. It's fun to do. Okay, right. It's still a little bit sticky, but I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil. Put that in the bowl. You can do it with flour as well if you want. But I'm just going to coat this bread, with this dough, sorry, in this olive oil, so it doesn't stick more to the bowl than it already has. I'm going to cover this up after washing my hands. Yeah, that looks disgusting. Let's just chuck them in there. And then basically I'm just going to put this place somewhere warm for a couple of hours. So I'm going to cut right now, but after I cut I'm going to wash my hands, cover it with cling film, put it someplace warm for a few hours, and I'll be back momentarily for you. Okay, so it's been just under 2.5 hours. This guy has been sitting in front of a heater that whole time. I'm getting a lovely smell of yeast. It smells like pizza dough. And yeah, we got a great rise. I don't know how well you can see that. But it's yeah, it's looking good. I've had time to clean up in here as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically be a very short segment. I'm gonna put this onto here and just kind of like knock it back a little bit. The oven is preheating behind me. Just to let you know, I didn't use any like kind of spray or chemicals while cleaning this counter. I just used some dry kitchen roll. It's still a little bit sticky, as you can see, but I think at some point we're gonna have to make a go of this. I never bothered cleaning up my bag of flour. It's still horrible. This is horrible. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put, I don't have a bread tin, because if you've been following along, you'll know that I am fairly anti like most tools. I like to, you know, use what I have, and just be kind of like, you know, I don't make enough bread to own a bread tin, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so basically I've got loads of this dough here, and I can just go back into the bowl. I'm not going to win any pretty awards, but who knows, maybe it will. But yeah, so like I said, this will be a very short segment, because this is going to need to cook for the next 45 minutes or so. Kind of tempted to try to like maybe take up half of that like that, and it might go up rather than out, but you know, whatever happens happens. Do I need to kind of slice it? Let's give it a bit of a slice. You know, I'm not experienced enough with bread to know whether I should or shouldn't cut this or slice this, but I feel like it's something that people do, so I shall do it. You know what, that's actually okay. That's not too bad. That's okay. Alright, this is going to go in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. And then after that, we shall do the taste test. Cool, see you then. Well, actually, hold on, you can watch me put it in the oven. There you go. Alright, 45 minutes later. Alright, it's been just over 40 minutes now. I shall check on this bread. I might need to put it back in, but I am happy with how it looks on top. I'm very happy. That's an attractive loaf of bread, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like it's kind of split in the middle. I've set up my wire rack here. I'm gonna turn the bread onto that. Let me just get a little spatula to try to probably should have used some baking paper. for when I baked the bread. Baking paper for the baking of the bread. Oh, hold on. Just turn this round. It is it seems to be stuck right about here. This might need to go back in. Oh, nice bit of steam. Okay, that's all right. So basically, the way to tell if bread is done is to use a thermometer. And if you don't have a thermometer, like I don't, or you don't make enough bread, then you just tap it, and you're looking for like a hollow sound. That's hollow enough for me. Maybe it needs a few more minutes. If Paul Hollywood, if you are watching this, is that hollow enough? But yeah, let's I'm not gonna bother cooling it. I'm just gonna cut a slice off right now. I've got my butter, my plant butter. I had to buy more of that the other day. Today actually I bought new butter. Full price. Well, it's actually on special offer. It's $2.40 and I got it for $1.50, but it wasn't reduced. It was just probably a veganuary deal actually. So there it is. It's kind of bubbly. It's a little bit soft on the inside. Probably does need a few more minutes. You know what? I'm gonna put this back in. But I'm still going to taste this now. I'm going to give this 5 more minutes. It's just a little bit soft on the inside. But I'm going to give this a taste now because I'll get the gist of it. So the best way to make homemade bread is, I mean, like I said, I've just become vegan in the last couple of days, and I kind of regret it because real butter on homemade bread is delicious. But if you're going to do it, you have to go really heavy on the butter, like way over the top. You know, if you buy bread, then you use a small amount. I'm going to slice this in half, actually, like 2, the top half and the bottom. Yeah, definitely needs a few more minutes, but you know, I'll take that into account when I'm harshly criticizing this. Okay, so here we go. Soup bread. It's got a good crust. It's a nice crunchy crust. The inside is soft. Probably a little too soft, like I said. Definitely needs more time. A bit too raw in the middle for me. But I don't think that's the bread's fault. I think that's my fault. I think it's way better. It's way better than it has any right to be. I mean, like, for something that was made with a can of soup, it's pretty good. Although I'm not that surprised, because fundamentally, the concept of soup works. You know, it's not that much extra flavor in there, by the way. It's fairly standard bread flavor. It's nothing crazy. I thought I'd get a bit more from the soup, but the soup literally just subbed itself in for water and gave it a bit of a color. Like, there's something going on, but it's not a strong tomato-y or herb or any kind of flavor in there. You know what I mean? There's not, but maybe that's because the soup itself was fairly mild. Like, when I tasted that lid, it wasn't the strongest flavor in the world anyway. But you know, I'd much prefer to eat my soup like this than, you know, heating up in the microwave or whatever and having it like a can of soup. I mean, I've got 5 more cans, so I probably will have some soup like that. But yeah, overall, like, this is, you know, it's a nice crispy outside. The inside is soft. It tastes like bread. It looks like bread. You do it with a few more minutes. Also, by the way, on top of having loads of butter, just load it with salt. You know, if you have homemade bread with a bit of butter and just a load of salt. Just lovely. The thing about homemade bread as well, no matter how you make it, it always tastes better than something bought, because even if you do a really bad job on it, there's some sort of sense of satisfaction and pride. There's something real feral and like stone man about making your own bread. You know, real like, you know, Neolithic caveman era, like making your own bread. It's just, you know, I think it hits that kind of part of your brain where your brain is rewarding you for doing something like that because it knows that's how you can survive. And if I had to survive on this for a while, I'd be pretty happy. Overall, I genuinely rate this like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, maybe even higher. Like, it's not the best loaf of bread I've ever made. It's definitely too wet. I've made some mistakes along the way. But like most food recipes that I've discovered, is that a lot of food can be very, very forgiving. You know what I mean? The only reason why you can really, I feel like the only way you can mess up food is by putting in way too much spice or, you know, too much of one flavor. But for the most part, like, you know, food wants to taste nice. Food wants to be good. And this bread is good, like, genuinely. I feel like, you know, in the future I'll probably experiment with different kinds of soup. If I see any other flavors of soup, I feel like, you know, even like a packet of soup, like, you know, there's like sachets of soup. They're good for stock, by the way, as well. But yeah, I feel like I've done something pretty good here. You know, like I said, it's not overwhelmingly strong, but it tastes nice. And I didn't have any bread, so I needed it, so that's good too. All right, well, thank you for watching Yellow Sticker Dinner.